From Studio 1Z, with the latest news, commentary, and weather, it's the KZRG Morning News Watch on Newstalk, KZRG.
It's FM 102.9, 105.9, AM 1310, and on your smart speaker, it's Newstalk KZRG, Ted Bojorquez.
And Steve Scott.
And joining us this morning is Missouri Gubernatorial candidate Mike Kehoe. Mike Kehoe, how you doing this morning?
Hey, good morning. I'm happy to be on with you. I'm doing great.
Hey, I'm glad to hear that, Mike. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with you or your platform, could you give us a little bit of background about yourself?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I have a kind of a crazy story, and I'll try to make it quick. I'm originally from North St. Louis City on the inner city core. I'm the youngest of 6 kids. My dad left when I was a year old. My mom raised 6 kids by herself, worked 3 jobs. We worked jobs to support the family. So very humble, very, very humble beginning in my life. Got a big break washing cars when I was 15 years old and worked my way up through that dealership into various positions. The guy who owned that dealership ultimately became my father figure and mentor, helped me get into a manufacturing business in Lynn, Missouri, where still today, we started there with 25 employees 30-some years ago, and today there's 140 employees, one of the largest ambulance manufacturers in the United States. Went on to Jefferson City to acquire the Ford dealership. Met my wife, Claudia. We've been married almost 35 years now. Started the Ford dealership in Jefferson City and ran that for 20 years. 40 years ago, I bought my first set of cattle and started farming operations in Phelps County, so my wife and I are first-generation farmers and have a cow-calf operation in central Missouri there in Phelps and Pulaski counties. And somewhere along the line, trying to serve in our community and being involved in the Chamber of Commerce and our United Way and the Cancer Association and Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and all the things you do in the community, just like people do there in the Newton and Jasper area, decided to run for a state Senate seat. I was successful to do that. It was a way for us to serve our community. Served all 8 years in the Senate with a great guy named Ron Richard from right there, one of my very best friends that I've ever had in life, actually. So love Ron. Sad to see him go and miss him every day. And from there, Governor Parson became governor in 2018, asked me to help him as lieutenant governor. I did that for 2 years and then actually ran for election in 2020 and was elected to be your lieutenant governor. So that's my 2-minute recap of a 62 years of life.
Well, you got it all in there. It's Missouri Gubernatorial candidate Mike Kehoe here on Newstalk KZRG. Now, Mike, a lot of the times when people are running for things, voters want to know where the focus will be if that individual is elected. And so if you're elected to Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe, what would your 3 primary goals be for the state of Missouri? Where would your focus be?
Well, I hope all voters ask all candidates that at any level of politics, so because it's very important to understand where people want to go. I actually have 4 priorities. I'll go through them very quick. Crime is the number one priority that we got to get control in all of our cities, both urban and rural. You unfortunately saw it in Joplin with the shooting of 2 police officers just 3 years ago. I was there for both of those funerals, by the way. But getting the bad guys off the street, backing our men and ladies in law enforcement, getting good prosecutors across the state that will keep the bad guys in jail, resources for police departments, that's the number one goal. And I've said all along, when my hand comes off the Bible, we have a day one crime plan. That's why the Missouri Fraternal Order Police, the State Troopers Association, and just yesterday, the Missouri Police Chiefs Association have all endorsed us because they think we have a great strategy on crime. Number 2 is education. Lots of education opportunities out there. We believe children should have the right opportunity for where they live, not based on what they're getting taught at school, and also what they can do beyond 12th grade, whether it's vocational and technical training, whether that's a community college or a 4-year school. Certainly some great options there in Joplin and all those categories as well. Number 3 is agriculture, first-generation farmer, 40 years in this business. It's our state's number one industry. We need to continue to grow that industry and get more value-added production out of what we do. We feed and clothe the world. We need to continue to be that leader. And number 4 is economic development. I've never done anything except for sell in my entire life. And I've only lived in the state of Missouri. I love this state. I love to sell the assets. I love to sell the people we have here, the opportunities, our location, our distribution opportunities. And so economic development so that people can have advance an opportunity for their family like my mom did, like my brother, my sisters did. We think that's a great thing to be able to present to Missourians and keep our economy and our population growing.
It's Missouri gubernatorial candidate Mike Kehoe here on Newstalk KZRG. Mike, in rural areas, for example, like in southwest Missouri and really across the entire state of Missouri where there's rural areas, too often do we see smaller cities and townships get lost in the shuffle. And my question for you this morning, Missouri gubernatorial candidate Mike Kehoe, is what will you do if elected to work alongside communities in the state of Missouri that are rural?
Sure. I think I have a unique perspective, almost half of my life living in an urban environment in St. Louis, and then a little over half my life living in a very rural environment there in Phelps and Pulaski County and in Cole County. Rural communities across this state are the lifeblood of our community. We like what happens in urban areas. They provide, entertainment, sports teams, medical care, shopping opportunities. But rural Missouri is really the lifeblood of our opportunities, and we really need to shore up a couple of things in those rural areas. Number one is access in two ways. Broadband and internet access to get to our rural communities across the state is very important. And number two is rural health care. The entire country is struggling with this. It's not just Missouri. But access to health care for rural Missourians is very important. That's why broadband and internet is important, because telehealth opportunities are out there for Missourians, especially in rural communities, but educational opportunities that go along with that broadband expansion. But rural health is something we need to make sure that we're giving access to our families. And if we want to keep young people in those rural communities, they need to be able to have an OBGYN. They need to be able to have access to medical care. And so that's something we concentrate very hard on. Kansas City University has done a great job, as you know, of building the dental school right there in your own backyard, the nursing school, things like that would encourage kids and to get a degree in something where they'll stay in those rural communities so they can survive and grow. That's incredibly important, and it's something we're getting better at every day, but we need to do a much better job to stay on top of that.
I absolutely agree. It's Missouri gubernatorial candidate Mike Kehoe here on Newstalk KZRG. And Mike Kehoe, you really struck a chord with me there about rural health care specifically. And I think that is certainly a major issue, like you said, across the country. How would we go about bringing those opportunities to rural areas? Would your focus be attraction of talent and retention? Would it be tax grants, so on and so forth? What would the steps look like?
Well, it's a combination of things. Communities have to have buy-in, and most of our rural communities that want access to health care are willing to do that. But you're right, is retaining professionals that practice those trades and staying in those communities. Look, making a big salary in some urban area, whatever big city you want to go to, is attractive, but quality of life is really important to those professionals as well. So you get down into the Newton, Jasper County area or McDonald County or anywhere in the southwest corner down there, Dade County, et cetera, you can have, and you do have, a better quality of life. You have a better base of a cost of living to be there. And communities need to work together, community leaders, along with of other government officials, to make sure that we provide what it takes to keep that talent there. And then we need to get government out of the way. Government is not the solution to everything. And sometimes in healthcare, government gets in the way that prevents some of these medical facilities and clinics from opening and expanding. We need to make sure we get the regulatory framework available so that communities can have these facilities and they can attract the talent to be there. It's a critical piece of what we need to do to continue to move Missouri forward.
It's Missouri gubernatorial candidate Mike Kehoe on Newstalk KZRG. Mike Kehoe, we are pushing up against the clock here, but I wanted to give you the opportunity, if you had one final elevator pitch as to why Missouri voters should vote you for governor, what would that elevator pitch be?
Look, I've been blessed and very fortunate to even get through life, even to live and get out of the neighborhood I was raised in. Many of my friends did not. The state's been very good to me, and I think I offer Missourians a very unique perspective of somebody who came literally from nothing and nowhere. Many Missourians have done the same thing, been able to build several successful businesses, and now I am ready to take on as the CEO of the state of Missouri. I've signed both sides of a paycheck. I understand what it means to operate a business, to run a business, to work with employees, to get things done and move Missouri forward. And I think I know I'm the only candidate in the race that not only has 22 endorsements from statewide organizations, from everybody from the safety organizations we talked about earlier, but all the ag organizations across the state that think I have and know I have the ability to lead our state through the next couple of decades in the best way possible with a unique perspective that, quite frankly, nobody else has to offer in the Republican candidate forum.
It's Missouri gubernatorial candidate Mike Kehoe here on Newstalk KZRG. And really quick, Mike Kehoe, if people want to learn more about your campaign, where do they go?
Sure. MikeKehoe.com. It's a website that we're getting literally thousands and thousands of visitors, MikeKehoe. I would encourage all of your listeners to go to the video called Living Proof. It's a little 2-minute video about my life, and we've got over 140,000 views on that without paying. It's just organic. People seem to really enjoy learning a little bit more about me, and we'd love them to go to MikeKehoe.com.
It's Missouri gubernatorial candidate Mike Kehoe. Mike Kehoe, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I look forward to being down there soon.
Yes, indeed. We look forward to hosting you. Have a good one, Mike. We'll talk to you again soon. That was Missouri gubernatorial candidate Mike Kehoe on Newstalk KZRG. Coming up at 7:40 in about 20 minutes here, we're going to be joined by Missouri U.S. Congressman Eric Burleson, and we're going to be talking to him about those criminal referrals that House Republicans had issued for Hunter and James Biden. That's coming up at 7:40 in about 20 minutes on Newstalk KZRG.